Hello everyone. In this episode I'm going to take a closer look at Pugsley the Stylized Pug. It's a toon dog made by none other than 3D Universe, and it's a beautiful little figure that I've had on my wishlist for a while, and recently I've bought him because I thought he would make a nice companion to a story that I'm working on. He might be the dog of the boss in that weird company, and every once in a while he has to take his dog for a walk, and that's the kind of thing I was thinking of. And then Pugsley, of course, sprang to mind, and I have to admit I've been always very, very happy with 3D Universe products, so I thought I'll jump right in and pick him up. When I saw him on a kind of a 46% sale, I thought, ooh, maybe I'll have a look at him, and I haven't regretted it. It's a very, very beautiful little figure to play with. It's a custom figure, so it's not a morph for the Genesis figure. If it's, look at that, comes with expressions, and it's just very, very cute. So it's not something you can fit Genesis clothing to. A custom figure means this thing has been created from scratch as an OBJ and then rigged inside a DAZ studio, so it's not really compatible with anything else in there. Yes, asking price is $24.95. There's a link to this product in the description of this video. There's also on the 3D Universe Facebook page, somebody posted that they've used this model on the book cover of something called A Pug's Life Journal. And I thought that was very interesting because when I first looked at this in passing, I was thinking, really, is that the dog? But yeah, you can see the tongue hanging out and everything. It's just beautiful when you see these things popping out in real life. So very, very cool. Let's have a closer look at Pugsley inside DAZ Studio and see what he brings to the table. So first of all, you can get him inside your smart content under figures. And under figures, you can either search for that at the top here, or you just go under animals, and then in animals there's Pugsley the Stylized Pug. You can also get him inside the content library, and that would be not under people. It's in fact under your DAZ3D library, and then there's under animals you have 3D Universe, and in there you have Toon, and inside Toon you have the Toon Pug, and there he is. There's the Stylized Pug. And also some, well, a material preset. You only get one material preset for iRay. There's no 3D Light option in there. Doesn't mean you can't render him in 3D Light, but you may have to convert the material. So I'm going to go and use the Smart Content tab here. And we have one figure. That's him. I'm going to double click to load him in. Here he is. And we have accessories for him as well. Those are Christmas antlers. I think the figure was made 2018, 2019, that sort of thing. And if you were to make a little Christmas card, you can put these on him, and then he has little Christmas antlers. They will be red and green in the iRay preview, but in the filament preview, they just, they don't have any colors. I might go and remove them so we can have a look at just at the dog, I'm thinking. And there's, as I said, there's one material preset that will get you started. In older products, often there are pose presets, so that when you select this guy, there might be another folder that lets you apply poses so that you can see what you can do with him and how you can pose him. In this case, we don't have that, and I'll tell you why. It's actually very cleverly done. The poses and expressions are still here, but they're pose dials. This is what that hierarchy looks like from the Toon Pug. You've got the hip, and then you've got some IK chains here that we'll talk about a little later. Yeah, so that's what you get in the scene. I'm going to go and select the whole dog and go over to my node selection tool just so that I don't see the manipulator gadget here. And then I'll head over to my parameters tab and I'll show you around. So there's, just like on a regular figure, you've got actor, which lets you have a look at the individual nodes and then make changes to those nodes. Not really necessary in this case. There's also display here. We don't need display, but we need the pose controls. That's kind of the most interesting bit here. So if you look at them, you see a whole host of things. I haven't counted them, but I don't know, it's about 100 sliders that you get with this little dog. And I'm always thinking, imagine every slider takes only 10 minutes to set up. And by that I mean go back to the modeler, make a morph, bring the morph back, turn it into test it inside DAZ Studio, then name it and so forth, give it a color and so forth. Imagine that, 100 sliders, 10 minutes each, that's 1,000 minutes. That is a full week's worth of work, as far as I'm concerned. So luckily we can, so this is how you can manipulate the dog. There's lots of things that you can whittle these down with. So under body, we only have 4, and those are hips, sit lazy, That means he's gonna sit down like that. Very cute. He's got one hind leg sticking out. So that's kind of cool. And I like the idea that this is not done with pose presets, because this means you can potentially animate these things. You don't have to, with poses, when they're kind of presets, you just have to double click it and a pose snaps into place. I really like the approach that you do this with a slider, because that means you can use it a little more, a little less, and so forth. You know, as if he's about to sit down and stuff, you can animate this really easy. So it's very, very cool the way this is done. It reminds me a little bit of the Pose Architect product that is available for the Genesis figures. We'll look at that in another video, because that has a similar approach to posing your characters. There's also Ready Pose. This is kind of him getting ready for you know, playing with a ball or something. The ball that you saw in the beginning is not actually included in the product because it's just a sphere with the shader applied. That's all. Whoops. There we go. And there's also waist side to side, so that's you can turn him around. Again, very nicely done that this is animated with a pose slider, with the slider rather. Alt click onto the slider and that'll get you back into the position. So that's the body. We have the similar thing for the legs. So if you want to raise his left leg like so, if he wants to go and pee against the signpost or a tree, then you can use that. Same with the other paw at the back here. And we have the front paws. And I think this is what is used with these IK chains. There's other things here. Paw 4 standing left. That's what this does. So if you wanted to have him move his little feet, you can do that. And that happens for all the 4 paws. They can be moved that way. But most exciting and most interesting, I find, is whatever's going on in the head. So head is always, even for the Genesis figures, is always a big thing for pose dials. And we can whittle this down further. So we have the ears, so we can go and wiggle his ears. Right ear, left ear. Let me go and zoom into his face a little bit more. So move his right ear and his left ear. Very cool. Back and forth. That's kind of nice. Alt click onto the middle of the slider to put that back in the position. You can also lift the ears. That is also very cute. You can use these in combination. So left and left together. If he's listening out for something, you can do that on both sides. If he's listening into some direction. You can then also, once you make these adjustments, you can go and lock them in on the Puppeteer tab. So you can go and quickly animate this or change it as your story requires. So that's kind of nice. There's also expressions in here, so that's very cool. He can look afraid. Oh my god. And that kind of uses his ears as well. Very nice. Super cute expression. Angry, also very nice expression. There we go. Disgust, if he's not quite happy with something. And of course, it being dials, you can use these in combination. So you can do a little bit of disgust and a little bit angry together, and then create yourself basically an unlimited amount of expressions if you want. It's also the laugh expression. So it's just this face, it just cracks me up. Unbelievable. So he's an actual character. And partly, if products are, oh, so sad. I always appreciate it if you buy a product and it costs a little bit more money, but you get so much more with a product like this. I always appreciate it. And I'm looking at the amount of sliders, and all I'm thinking is the amount of work it takes to make this happen, to test this, to make sure it looks right in a render, out of a render, and so forth. And I truly appreciate that when artists go the extra mile. And Steve from 3D Universe has always done that. I'm not being paid to say this, by the way. Purchased this with my own money. Just thought I'd say that. So very cool little dog. I really appreciate him. There's other things that we can do. So there's the eye adjustments here. We'll look at that in a moment. Muzzle, while we're looking at the muzzle, that's kind of the tongue here. If you needed to move that around, you can do that. Very cool. So there's a muzzle slider. Very nice. I'll go and put his expression back to something like this, to the kind of original thing. And have a look at his eyes. So eyes are also, there's a lot that you can do with the eyes. And you can do that in addition to any of the expressions, or you can use it in addition to whatever else you're doing to the face. So there's no reason why you can't animate the face yourself. If you want to do that, you can totally do that. brows, worried. There's both sliders for both of these, or there's also a slider for left and right. So you can, if you raise the both one, then both of these are being adjusted, both the left and right sliders, or you can do it individually. So if you want to have them, like, you know, raise an eyebrow like Mr. Spock or something, that is definitely possible. There's other kinds of cool things here, like blink. I like blink because blink isn't just close eyes. You have close eyes as well, and that is literally just the eyes. But if you've watched any of these dogs for real in the park, then you know that that's not just what happens. Well, so maybe they can blink like this with the eyes, but they can also literally, it looks almost like hard work, because there's a lot of muscles that are being pulled here, including, and I don't know if this is a bug, I can't really tell, but if I do that, I can even see a little bit of geometry moving right at the back here. So I don't know if that's an accident or if that is, you know, what is meant to happen. But just very cool. It just gives this dog so much personality. Unbelievable. There's also Sleepy. I like Sleepy. If you've ever seen Facebook videos of dogs trying to stay awake and they just go, they can't do it, eyes just going, Pugsley, what's going on? It's just funny. I like that. There's also Wincing and all that kind of good stuff. So there's literally, I haven't counted them, but I might do before I put this video live, and I'll let you know. There's mouth slider, so you can have mouth open. So if you wanted to animate him with motion capture data, he has visemes inside the mouth. So not all of them, but the main one. So he can say oh, and he can say ah, and f. So he can say that. There's all kinds of sliders for that. I'll leave them up on the screen for a bit so you can have a look. Bare teeth is another one that you can use these in combination with visemes or instead of visemes, and literally to create so many exciting expressions and looks for the dog. So if you're interested how these things are done, usually this requires a round trip to your modeling application, and then literally change the geometry, and once you're happy, you import this with Morph Loader into the rigged OBJ, and that creates a slider like that. So that's in the Genesis figure, that's in for the facial expressions, that's handled slightly differently, but they're basically rigged. So there's points in the face that are rigged. I don't think Pugsley has that, so I would imagine they are morph sliders. Give me a kiss, Pugly. Very cool. That is everything you get with the dog. So you get the antlers. We can put those on if you're interested in making Christmas cards like that. We're also going to have a look at him in iRay. Let me go and have him sit down with maybe just the sit straight pose. There we go, and give him a little bit of an expression. Then we can make a little render. It's the geometry is about 5,000 polygons. I think I've had a look earlier. So that makes him a fairly low resolution dog, even though he looks fairly high resolution. Let's give him an expression as well in the head. Something like, you know, maybe a surprised kind of surprised angry-ish. No, let's make him surprised and laugh. There we go. That might be nice. And let's have a look at this in the iRay shaded viewport. He renders in about, with nothing else, he renders in about 30 seconds on my RTX 2080 with about 200-300 iterations. I think if you just let it render, I think it's about 400-500 iterations that DAZ Studio uses there with the render quality enabled. Let me go and do something else actually. Let me go and grab a lighting preset. I like the ones actually also sticking with 3D Universe. I'm going to go and use the one from the Toon generations. That's one I do like. Double click that. It gives you a nice little background there, which you can also disable, of course, but you know, that's kind of nice. Let's go and have him render at maybe 2000 by 2000, and I'll just go and set the render quality to disable and put the maximum samples to 500, and then we'll see how long that render takes. Keep in mind this is a single GPU system with one single RTX 2080 inside. There we go, that's the dog rendered. I'll go and save him on my desktop. I'll just call him dog, and then we're gonna have a look at him. It took about a minute to render, minute and 5 seconds or so with 500 iterations at 2500 by 2500, and this is the result that I got here. There we go. That was a little insight into Pugsley, the stylized toon dog, available from 3D Universe. Have a look at it. There's a link in the description of this video if you want to snack him up yourself with or without Christmas antlers. He's going to make an amazing addition to your runtime. If you want to support me on this channel, then you can use my affiliate link to go to the DAZ Studio to the DAZ3D website. That'll get you to the homepage. If you do your DAZ shopping via that link, I will get a cut, which would be greatly appreciated. You could do the same with Amazon. If you're shopping at Amazon, use one of my affiliates links. That'll support me and my channel at no extra cost to you. I greatly appreciate that. Have a wonderful day. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Take care. Bye-bye.